Welcome to everyone for our second presentation. It is going to be about new challenges for global and responsible economies, markets, health, politics, and finance. So this presentation is about things you learn in different courses. We have two undergraduate courses that are around this subject, that are business and economics and finance. And then we have a bunch of graduate courses and master degree programs in the areas of management, in the area of economics, in the area of political science, and in finance. So just to frame our idea, what we'll talk about, in the last 25 years, two big processes have been around. One is globalization. By globalization, I mean the progressive integration of markets, goods market, service market, and financial markets, and the ICT revolution. So these two big things that have been happening produce big change in the last 25 years. I will talk about the most important two. The first one is the increasing share of emerging countries in the world economy. And the second one is that economies are increasingly interdependent. Of course, this raises new challenges and opportunities for economic agents, being them individuals, workers, firms, or policymakers. And it requires new lens to look at reality. And it implies that the environment in which people operate is increasingly complex and always changing. And it raises new economic and social issues. So I start with a question for you. What do you think is the largest economy in the world? By largest, I mean the one that produces more output. Ideas? I give you just a choice between two. Do you think that the largest economy in the world is China, or do you think that the largest economy in the world is the US? China? Raise your hand for China. The US? Good, so that was the right answer. According to the last economic outlook by the IMF, China overcame the US in terms of gross domestic product, that is a measure of production. If we measure that in purchasing power parity, that means we take into account differences across countries in cost of living. Okay? Of course, we have to put this data in perspective, because this does not mean that the average person who lives in China is richer than the average person who lives in the US. In order to have a more clear answer to this idea, we need to look at another measure, that is GDP divided by the population, what we call income or GDP per capita. If we look at this measure, you see that the average Chinese is 5 times poorer than the average US citizen. We may also want to have an idea of how we came here and the process behind these figures that we see. So this is China in 1970, and what you see, this is on the x-axis, you see income, and you see the range of income from $100 to $100,000, and you see here the number of people that receive this income. Okay, so this is 1970, and you see the range of income is very low, but the distribution of income is quite concentrated. Then if you go in 2000, what you see that is the range of income is shifting to the right, and the distribution is becoming more spread. So the inequality in the distribution of income is increasing. So what about the US in the same period? This is 1970 to 2000. We see in the 70, okay, so you see a more spread distribution of income to begin with. Of course, in range of income that are more to the right, so richer people. And if you go to 2000, you see the income are moving to the right, and the distribution is becoming even more spread. So if we put together the two and let them go in from the beginning, what you see that income in China is growing faster than income in the US, and this explains why we came where we are in the previous picture. So I go back to our idea. Main idea is that the share of emerging countries production in the world is increasing. And see, this is not true only for China, it's true also for other emerging economies such as India, such as Brazil. So if you look at this picture, these cakes, you see, for example, the red one is the share of China production projected in the future on the world production. The green share is the India. The dark blue share is the US, and the light blue share is Europe. Okay, so we see that the share of emerging countries' production in world production is increasing, while the share of developed countries' production is decreasing. This is the projection for the future, and of course, this reflects different expected growth rates in different regions. So in China, the expected growth rate is 6.5% per year. In Italy is below 1%. In the US is 2% and stuff like that. Okay, so these differences in growth rate in the long run will have implications that we've seen. So this of course creates a challenge. What is the challenge for people and firms and individuals that live in a developed countries? That they're facing competition from firms and economies abroad. Okay, so this is the challenge. But it's also, of course, an opportunity. What is the opportunity? So firms that produce in Italy may sell their production to markets that are abroad. So the expanding market abroad is also an opportunity for economies, developed economies. Okay, so for example, if we look at this picture on the left, what you see in the aftermath of the crisis, the new orders for manufacturing firms in Italy, the dark blue line reflects the demand that comes from the domestic market, and the light blue line reflects the what comes from foreign markets. Okay, so this is the opportunity. If you can sell your production to foreign markets, you can survive. Otherwise, probably your business is going to have big problems, so export or die. So what is the challenge? Current challenge for domestic firms is to compete in a global market and to take advantage of the higher growth rates of other economies. So this is true for firms that operate, but it's also true in more general sense for industries and markets that are put into competition with other countries. So they will be shrinking, some sector will be shrinking, some sector will be increasing. So it may be the case that to find a job you have to change the sector in which you want to operate, okay? So for example, a sector that is knowing a boom is the service sector. This is due to the fact that the digital revolution makes possible to produce service abroad and sell them to firms that are located in other countries. So the service sector is knowing increasing globalization and is employing a larger fraction of people around the world. So, but if the world is becoming more interdependent, maybe we need new lens to look at reality. So once you come to your work, you may be employed in different countries. You may work in London at the stock exchange. You may work in Japan or China. You may work in Kenya. You may work in India, you may work in Italy. So depending on where you work, you will have to deal with different culture, with different habits, with different ideas. So this implies that in order to operate in global markets, you need to have an open-minded and intercultural attitude, as it was emphasized a lot in the previous presentation. Not only that, it may be the case that you need new lens to look at reality, in the sense that you need to follow an interdisciplinary approach. So in real world problems not necessarily come that tag with an idea. So it's an economic problem or a finance problem or a risk management problem. So real world problems cross the boundaries of disciplines as well as they cross the boundaries of nations. Okay, so I give you a strange example maybe. Ice cream. So recently Grom, leader producer in Italy of ice cream, signed a contract with this workforce to substitute work in rainy days with work on sunny days. Why that? Of course, for the ice cream producer, rain is a risk. So they try to deal with this risk by changing the way in which the employer work. Okay, so increase labor supply in sunny days and decrease labor supply in rainy days. So you may look at this in terms of like as an economic problem or as a legal problem, but you may also look at this as a risk management problem. Okay, so for example, a risk manager would explain to you that workers sold to their employer a weather derivative. I don't want to get into the detail of what this means, but just keep in your mind this idea. We talk about derivatives in financial markets, but we may also think of derivatives in real production. Okay, so a weather derivative, and if you offer an ice cream to this risk manager, it may explain you, it may tell you whether the derivatives was sold at the fair price. What does it mean? If the workers had a good deal with the firm when they signed this contract. Okay, and it may suggest alternative, more efficient ways of dealing with the risk of rainy days in the ice cream business. Okay, so globalization means that market forces and risk management issues may spring up where you never expect. So you may use some tools that you learn in a specific program to deal with problems that arise in a completely different sector. So interdisciplinarity matters. Okay? So in general, the second issue we were talking about is that increasingly interdependent economies. Okay? So increasingly interdependent economies means that the environment in which firms, individuals, policymakers make their decision is increasingly complex and always changing. Okay, so just to mention a few things that may matter. Politics. How does political risk affect macroeconomic condition? You may easily think of many examples. Think of Greece today. So what the Greek government is deciding may affect the condition of operation in other countries, change the spread, and so on and so forth. So it's not only economics, but it's also politics. And finance. Well, finance is one of the financial market is one of the most integrated, and the international financial transactions have risen to record levels. They represent like 24 times the world GDP today, and this of course generates issues. How do policymakers intervene to prevent banking crisis that may spread worldwide and financial contagion? Going back to markets, think of how do big corporations that operate in the global market, think of Apple for example. Do these big corporations monopolize the market, meaning that they can sell you their product at very high price? Or does it mean that they spur innovation and provide new products, meaning that you can have higher quality product for the same price or same quality products for lower price? Okay, so what is the effect of this big corporation operating? Are they monopolizing market, or are they having positive effects on consumers due to higher quality products or lower price? And another important issue is health. And health is also related to dynamics that are outside the economic realm and population dynamics. Okay, if we observe the dynamics of the population in developed countries, we see that this is aging population. If we look at dynamics in emerging countries, very different situation. We have growing population, so younger and younger population. And also there is international migration, that is another dimension of interdependence. The labor market actually is the less integrated market. Okay, so migration flows, the labor market is the less integrated, but still migration flows are important. And how this changes, for example, condition in the health sector? Well, both aging population in developed countries and growing population in emerging countries means that it will be increasingly difficult to sustain a provision of basic health services, okay? Because you have to provide health services that are more costly to aging people, or providing health services to a larger audience, okay? So this is a challenge for economies that want to provide health care and ensure good living conditions to their citizens. And another issue that we want to focus on is that currently there are huge disparities. Okay, so not all countries spend the same on health. Of course, it depends on their income. But to look at figures to put us in perspective, India spends around $100 per capita. Italy spends around 3,000, and the US spends 8,000. Okay, so this is expenditure, but what is the output of this expenditure? So we may try to measure the quality of the health system, for example, by looking at life expectancy at birth. And this is 66 in India, is 30 years longer in the US, and almost 17 years longer in Italy. So we have disparities in spending, disparities in achievement, and we see also that not necessarily higher spending means higher achievement. So we may look closer at the functioning of healthcare system to understand why. The last issue I want to talk about, we've been talking about how globalization changes things for firms, how it changes things for markets, and so on and so forth. But of course, it is going to change things for people who live in the economy. Okay, so what do you think? You think that the effects of globalization and technological innovation in general is going to be positive or negative? The benefits are going to be diffused, or they're being concentrated? Okay, we have already a little clue about that by our first animation that we've seen in the first slide. So I ask you another question. Do you think that, what do you think is the effect of international trade on wages? Why I focus on wages? Because most of the people have income that is related to their earning. Okay, so they have income in that they participate to the labor market and get an earning. Okay, so wages is the most important thing for most of the people. Okay, living in any country. Okay, so what do you think is the effect of international trade? So increasing integration of goods and service markets on wages. Do you think that the wage will decrease, or do you think that they will increase with international trade, or they will be unchanged? Ideas? Who thinks that wage will decrease? The wage of workers will decrease. Who think that wage will increase? You don't think? You have no idea? What would you expect? Well, I can tell you what people in your country expect according to a survey that is conducted by a research center in Washington. So in Italy, they conducted surveys by interviewing 1,000 people, representative sample in each country around the world. So in Italy, 52% of respondents think that international trade will imply lower wages, and only 7% think that the effect is positive. Okay, so even if most people in Italy, according to these surveys, think that international trade is good, increases economic perspective, they think it's bad for them because it's going to decrease wages. Okay, look at what happens in India. In India, the situation is opposite. Most of the people think that, well, a higher percentage of the people think that trade will increase the wage, as opposed to lower percentage that think that the will be negative. Okay, so why this? Well, the explanation may be many. If you live in a fastly growing economy, you may have positive perception of the future and then think positively, and then think that what happens will have a positive effect on you. Okay, but we may think more closely to these ideas using what you learn in economics degrees, and you may think that research actually shows that technological progress and globalization tends to have an equal effect, not only across nations and within nations, and therefore across regions, but also across different groups of workers. Okay, so actually the answer to the question should be more nuanced. Typically, technological progress and globalization tend to increase returns to high skills and ideas. So this is a good message for you, because high skills mean having higher level degree. Okay, so the forces that we've seen at work tend to increase returns to high skill and ideas. okay? And they tend to generate problems for people who have lower skills, especially in developed countries. And another issue is that of economic restructuring, as I said in the beginning. So sectors that shrink, sectors that expand, markets that disappear, all this means job creation and job destruction. So some people will lose their job, some people will get a new job, but in order to get a new job, you need to have the competence to be able to get that job. And again, typically in developed countries, what matters is high skills to get good jobs, because high skills go with innovation, okay? And innovation is the key to survive in globalized market for a developed country. Economic research anyway also shows that socioeconomic inequality has risen in most European countries, and this is true also in emerging countries and in developed countries since the 1980s, okay? So we have growth, we have challenges, but we also have that the social issues are becoming more important, okay? Why economic inequality matters not only for ethical reason, but also for social reason. So a more unequal society is a society where there will be social strain, there will be political conflict, will be difficult to deal with other people, okay? So economic inequality matters not only in ethical terms, but also in social terms. And it may also matter in economic terms. It may be the case that more unequal societies are less able to create opportunities for all the people to participate in the global markets. Okay, so the challenge for policymakers is to devise interventions that make economies innovative. Innovation is the key for survival for developed countries, but also inclusive. That is, most of the people in the economy may participate to the gains from globalization and technological innovation. And also needs to look for sustainable economies. This will be the topic of our third presentation. I will not focus on that. So that's all I had to say. I hope I didn't bore you too much. And before we finish, I want to call here our testimonials. We have Nicholas, and you come all together. Come here, please. Nicholas, we have Sahil, and we have Marva, and then we have David. We have 4 testimonials that will tell you about their experience as students, international students in international programs in University of Bologna. And David is a former student, now is a graduate, is already working, so he will tell you what happens next. Okay, so this I think is very interesting thing to hear. So Nicholas is Italian, but he studied in the UK and then came back to Bologna. Sahil is from India, and he chose to come here to study in University of Bologna. And Marva is from Egypt, and she also chose to come to study in the University of Bologna. David is Italian, but is now working abroad. So all these students will offer you an experience that is international and intercultural. Okay, so I leave the word to them that will tell you about their experience.
Okay, so good morning everyone. My name is Nicholas, and I'm originally from the south of Italy. And I am currently a second-year student at the International Master's Program of CLAMDA IM International Management. And I previously graduated in Business Management at the University of Torino with a year abroad at Canterbury Christ Church University in England. Having experienced both realities, university realities in Italy and the UK, what I was able to appreciate in my course here in Bologna is the fact that I think it nicely combines both the theoretical excellence for which Italy is known for, together with a more, you would say, Anglo-Saxon practical approach, learning approach, and which in my course translates specifically in very interactive, multicultural and concentrated classes. That is, classes of 30 to 35 students coming from all over the world and continuously contributing to the class and to learning. Moreover, we have a very direct and more confidential approach with our teachers and the core staff, which is very nice. And last but not least, something that I believe is increasingly important in the business world is the continuous development of soft skills. That is, we improve such soft skills through our many group works, group assignments and presentations, and also in extracurricular activities of the likes of public speaking and coaching labs. As you can see, I'm very, very satisfied with my course, and should you have any sort of questions relatively to it, I am free to answer them at the information desk just outside. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sahil Khelwani. I come from India, New Delhi, and I did my bachelor's in computer science engineering, and I'm now doing my master's in quantitative finance from last 2 years. When I came here, people ask why Italy, and why University of Bologna. So every student, like international student, always looks for a low tuition fee, good opportunities, a good master's course, a good faculty, and keeping all these points in view, I chose University of Bologna. And the course offers a wide variety of opportunities, like from scholarships, Erasmus placement, through which I went to do my internship in London. I did my internship in a portfolio monitoring company which deals in leverage buyouts and private equity firms. And keeping all my experiences, skills, what I have learned in my course, I landed up getting a job in London where I was an intern. And for a reference, a point of view for you, Italy is still in a recession from last 3 years, and it needs smart and intelligent people like you to get in finance and take Italy to the next level. So if you have any questions, I'm in the stall of QF, and thank you.
Good morning, my name is Marwa Atif, and as my colleagues have introduced me, I'm from Egypt. And I had a bachelor degree in pharmacy before I come here, and now I'm a second-year student in health management and economics course. So to start with why I'm here, so the question is, I always get that question everywhere, but to tell you what, a brief overview about where I come from Egypt, and in 2011, 25th of Jan, there was a revolution, and with revolution came change, very dynamic changes, and like everybody wants to be a part of that change. And I always have this big dreams. I have a really, really big dreams that I would change my world. Why not? So I started with the following. What is the kind of change we want to see is education and health. This is the basic two determinants. And being a pharmacist, so I was biased to health. And then I have to choose which country should I choose to study how to improve this health system. And I find that the ideal match is Italy. Why Italy? Because first of all, it's a developed country. Second, and according to the World Health Organization, it's one of the best health system, as they can say. And the third is because Italy is facing economic challenges and budget constraints. So I thought, yes, this is the ideal country that I would like to study how these guys get through this solid healthcare system. And now that I'm here, I can't tell how much this experience was fruitful and was motivating to me, and very much sticking to my dream of changing the world by changing just myself to begin with. And I hope you all realize your dream. Thank you for listening to me. It was a pleasure having you here. Thank you.
So, hello, my name is David. I'm 29. I started 10 years ago at the University of Bologna. I feel like a dinosaur. So first of all, I have to apologize because I actually changed my presentation on the airplane 2 hours ago, coming on my way here from Brussels. So we're given only 3 minutes. I really, really wanted to give you the 2 main points I want you to take away from my presentation. So I did 1 international degree at the University of Bologna, the LMEC, and I changed 5 different countries in the last 7 years. So how did all these international experiences and this globetrotting craziness help me with my career and my studies, my postgraduate studies after the University of Bologna, and the jobs I wanted to pursue? So first point, I started at the University of Bologna, and I was studying business, not economics. After 3 months of the beginning of my studies, I realized I didn't like business. I went on for 2 years thinking, I don't like business, what should I do? Should I be a doctor? Should I not work at all? Should I already retire? I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And then a friend of mine told me, well, why don't you go on Erasmus? And that's the first step I did. I moved to France. I did my 3rd year of undergraduate in Erasmus. And during my year in Erasmus, I figured out, yes, I want to study economics. I want to abandon business. No offense for the business students, by the way. And so I came back to Italy, and I enrolled to the in the LMEC. And I have been happy ever since. And the message is really, what can international experiences and international degrees give you? It's not just one more line on your CV. Okay, it looks good, Erasmus in Paris, good universities. But it's also the opportunity they give you to look at things from a different perspective. To understand what I really wanted to do, I needed to get out of Bologna. So please exploit these opportunities. I spent 2 years in Bologna, 1 year in Paris, and this was fundamental for me to understand what I really wanted to do. So going on Erasmus, going on exchange, allows you really to look at things from a new perspective. It makes you make choices, more informed choices. And that's how I ended up enrolling in the LMEC. And of course, also the LMEC at some point comes to an end. And I had to decide what's the next step. And the next step, I wanted to study at the London School of Economics in the UK. I skipped one passage, which is the LMEC also gave me the gift of spending 1 year in the US, in California, which was quite a good opportunity from the University of Bologna. But the most important thing is, what next? I decided to study at the London School of Economics, and these are really selective institutions. They receive every year tons of applications, and to enter you need to write good motivation letters, you need good reference letter from the professors, you need to pass standardized English tests, and the LMEC helped me with all of these. So I was used to study in English, do research in English, I wrote my dissertation in English, so I easily passed the English test to enter the London School of Economics. I probably wrote a more convincing motivation letter. I had the opportunity to have very well-known professors, professors that do research that is known everywhere, professors who studied in the universities that you will be targeting. So I had reference letters from professors who had studied at the London School of Economics before me. And that's how I ended up doing 1 year of master in London. And I spent 3 more years working in the city. We were almost colleagues. 3 years in the city in a global economic consulting company called Deloitte. I had the opportunity to travel to Turkey, Brazil, Argentina, you really name it. And I'm not sure about the last step. I'm not sure how we ended up in Belgium. But yes, I decided to move to Belgium to work at the European Commission in the chief economist team of DG competition. And funny enough, there's also a small bit of University of Bologna there, because my boss currently is one of my professors that I had at the LMEC. And by the way, the one who gave me the lowest grade ever in my career. Thank you. And good luck with your choices.